nothing else really happened after that. So why did they call off to Chin? And was it like a backdoor deal? Was okay, you know what, like peace? As far as you know, what happened after that? That's kind of a big deal because I don't see John Gotti Sr. ever sending down to anybody, but it seems like they hit him a
I
few.
be- I believe that they sat down with Chin, and I believe that they denied everything, and that both sides are going to deny it. Remember something when look at the media attention that you have. Castellano gets hit. Look at that media attention. Look at the media attention that happens after the Chico gets blown up,
Yeah,
and the other hits as well. It's bad business because the one thing that they don't lose focus on is money,
yeah,
and they're going to be there's to have a war with either the West Side, which is the Genovese family, or the Lucchese family. It's not just going to be a one for one thing. There's going to be a war.
yeah.
Is bad business. So
Interesting.
rather than have that, I don't know about making peace, but I do believe that they sat down over it.
Interesting. Now you said something interesting where the reason why they did the bombing and the reason why they had to do something is if you're a Chin and they're knocking off bosses and it's okay to do so.
Yeah,
Shit.
we spoke about this. Yeah. So you got to remember something. Let's say Chin didn't even like Paul Castellano.
Correct.
He's got to think of himself. If he doesn't act, and he does not want anybody else to get these kind of ideas and say, wait a minute, you know, they just took out a sitting boss, and
Correct.
his captains, a group of them sided with a guy that was going to do this. Maybe I'm going to have this in my brigada. And that's probably listen, not taking away that he was an old school by the book guy, and he was, but that also played a big part in his mind. There's no doubt about it.
Interesting. So there's more to it, folks. So, and John and I were chatting about this. This is why we wanted to call a special show where the Angelo Ruggiero story doesn't stop there. He puts a hit on the old Lucchese boss Casso, correct?
Correct.
Why?
So it was over drugs, and it was over a drug beef, and 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 also, you know, he is going to get the permission from John because don't forget, he's involved, and they know, the street does its homework. They know where things come from and
Yeah.
whatnot. So, yeah, he puts a hit out on gas pipe, and he uses this kid, the what's his name? You mentioned his name, Heidel. Yeah, he
Who's a
puts
nephew of a super.
of
Yeah.
yeah. I think he was Danny Marino, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he puts this kid on, uh, done in an amateur way. You know what I mean? As you could see, look at the difference between how a hit is supposed to go down and how a bumbled hit goes, and that was a bumbled hit. In the Sparks hit, you could believe. You see, they had shooters all over. They had backup shooters.
Yeah.
They had walkie talkies. They definitely scoped the area out before they did it. They knew which exits they were going to leave, which blocks they were going to leave, what crash cars. They had crash cars. They were set up professionally to do that. Hit went down
Yeah.
like a piece of bread,
Yeah.
and they sent an amateur. You could send anybody with a gun, but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it's going to get done. And they sent this kid out there, and he didn't get the job done.
Yikes.
and that could have been. I mean, look what the end result was for him. They wind up torturing this kid, and he gives Angelo up.
Yeah.
You know,
So
he,
what happened after that? So he had to shelve Angelo. He didn't kill him.
Well, you got to remember something. Angelo gets shelved as an appeasement because they wanted his head. They want,
Yeah.
forget he's putting a hit on another friend, and then
Yeah.
and a boss, no less.
Yeah.
So John Gotti saves Angelo by shelving him. You know, that's he should have got they should have killed him, but they shelved him for that.
Does it lend itself to the power of John Gotti at that time that he's able to save his friend, or at that time maybe a little weakness of Casso? Because like I listen to our own podcast and you talk about rules,
Right.
and they're kind of like an unsanctioned hit on an underboss from another family, which is like a super no-no, bigger than drugs, I assume. So when he got his hand caught in the cookie jar there and he survived, what do you think? A little maybe God is strong enough to keep him at bay. Castro's not strong enough. Give us that dynamic. I'm super interested in that.
I mean, what comes into play in that dynamic